Hello and welcome to our channel. We are embarking on a new journey, turning an abandoned pig farm into a small homestead. And so, we are immersing ourselves in knowledge and skills where land becomes our living and way of life. Our farm is in the heart of Galicia, where farming practice and food cultivation, storage and preservation is rooted in its culture. So, we have a lot to learn from this land and our community. In this episode, we build a polytunnel using 28 euros of timber and 20 euros of polytunnel plastic, with a few other bits and bobs, but most importantly, our imagination and Troy's hard work. We are going to turn this space at the back of the farm, which was just for grapevines, into our first step toward growing our summer and winter crops. Stay tuned to see our progress in just 4 weeks. So one of the biggest things that we've had to take on is clearing the land on this farm. We believe there's about 10 years of growth, and when we arrived in the summer last year, we couldn't actually walk around the farm, and we had to wait for autumn and winter to start clearing away most of the trees, the bushes, particularly brambles, and even the grapevine that had just taken over most areas that we wanted to use. And the great news is look at all that firewood, and we've also used all those twigs to create fences. So once the grapevine was cleared on the roof, Troy began putting a plastic cover on the roof, and he did place some battens to hold that roof in place. Actually, now we're realizing that we need to add a thicker plastic, but it's still holding strong. We want to keep the grapevine, obviously, so Troy has had to push it down and encourage it to grow within our new polytunnel. We actually wish that we had filmed more of this, and we did try, but our camera kept falling over due to the high wind, and it was a 4-person job holding the plastic down to secure the battens. So not much filming, but this was progress after about 3 to 4 days. I was so excited, I started placing things inside, and I began buying seeds. Okay, so in here we've got, let's turn them all around. We've got basil. Put that here. More basil. Basil apparently is good to plant with tomatoes. Poppies. Carnations. I'm afraid that's a little bit for my arty side. Dahlias, another favourite of mine. Parsley. Or cumin, as it's called here. Yeah. Strawberries. Spring was starting to show its face around the farm, and I was feeling the increasing pressure to find more composting, and in doing so, finding some strange treasures on the farm. And we were really lucky that we had started composting the year before with our chickens, and we had introduced rabbits to help us keep feeding our soil. And so here it is, the big reveal, our 3-metre by 7-metre polytunnel. Troy added windows on both sides so we could cool in the summer, and we added all our lovely soil into these planters using old wood from the farm. We had a tap and we were ready to start planting. I sneakily went off to the market and bought a few seedlings and lettuces to get a head start. I also brought in some of our spring flowers that had been struggling under the many brambles on the west side of the garden. I was now in the first week of March, so the race was on to start planting my seeds and beginning to grow our own food in this space so that some of it could stay, but most of it would be transferred into our crop fields around the farm. March is a variable month. Rain comes and goes regularly. Some days are warm, some days are cold. And when the rain comes, it's a good opportunity to see some worms, catch them, and add them to our soil. Yes, this channel is about resourcefulness, and I do have to buy some compost at times for the pots, but I had asked my daughter Violet to use some old plastic bottles on the farm, cut them up, add holes and some string, and turn them into hanging baskets so that we could space save and have our strawberries hanging from the rafters of our polytunnel. Did add a few cloves of garlic in a few of them because I heard that strawberries and garlic like each other. After the rain, we found we had a problem with snails. They were coming through the walls, so Troy popped down with some old fluff from a chewed up dog
bed for stuffing the holes with.
Yeah.
So thanks to the dogs for that.
Those are the snails coming out of hibernation straight into the greenhouse. So didn't see that one coming.
Realizing farming on every turn has something you didn't see coming, and it's just about adapting each time and accepting some losses and failures as well. We were now into week 3, and I was planting seeds nearly every day in as many little pots and tubs that I could find, and some I had bought in the autumn in the sale. I had no idea what I was doing or if anything would actually grow, or even if it was a little bit too early, because we were still seeing the odd frost on the ground. Four days ago, last video, I planted more raspberry, more of the same really. We've got some red berries and some gooseberries. We've got this lettuce is doing very well with the onions here, so that's doing really well. I've been stealing a few of the early bottom leaves for the chickens. Nothing in this spot yet. Nothing in this spot yet. Then we've got more rhubarb. I've just got my footprint there because I had to go across and save a plant. I've put some of the hay straw from the bunnies in here that had poop in it. We've got our tomatoes here. We've got, at the moment, 3 varieties. I've got yellow, that's going to be ready orange, and the blue, which actually looks quite black, tomato. This one here, it's always quite interesting. This one has really popped up compared to the others. They were all the same size, and you can see these two are hanging back, but for some reason this one has decided to go a bit wild. Don't know why. We've got some nasturtiums and some flowers planted in these parts here, along with vegetables. These are the plants that, if you've watched before, I rescued from the garden. They'd got strangled and were really struggling to survive in the garden on the west side of the farm. And the primroses are picking up, and I know that these are new flowers because the last flowers were completely battered, chewed, and in a right mess. So they've just decided that they're having their happy life, but you can see the general state that they were in, and it's quite exciting coming from Cornwall in the UK, having some primroses here in Galicia is really nice. I'm going to take my hat off now and put it on my new shelves. So I didn't really talk properly about the shelving. Troy put some new shelves in for me, and he's planning on putting more shelves in, so he's very busy, but don't worry, he's happy. That's the main thing. And he's putting these shelves in so that I've got more storage and I can put more seedlings and pots and things here. Ooh. That's nice to see. My other thing is just this reality of how many seeds, or in this case beans, you get in a packet. I guess there's a chance that not all will germinate. They're there. So there's it. We've got to remember what they are. So I'm going to move these up here and put the label underneath. And I'm using these pots because I think I could break them off and maybe separate some of the plants, but I can put these straight into the ground. Must remember, Rebecca, not to step back because you might fall over. I haven't pushed the soil down at all, so I'm hoping that gives my little plants a better chance. And I guess when you think about it, plants just land on the surface, don't they? And then a season comes of mulch that just goes over, and then they germinate. So us pushing with a stick a big hole into the soil, you know, really deep down, and then pushing soil on the top is not going to be very helpful for them. So I've got loads of these. How many beans do we want? I'm not too worried about whether I lose sort of mental kind of memory of what is where, because I'm just going to mix everything into my planters anyway. So I'm just going to do mixed cropping. I'm not going to have like, oh, this one's this and this one's that. It's just going to be, it is what it is, and we harvest what is available, and we eat what we're harvesting throughout the season. That's the main priority for me, is that we just eat according to the seasons. And, you know, the kids have to learn to just eat what I have just harvested from the vegetable garden. So that's enough of those. We'll stagger some of those. So now we're on to these. On week 4, I could really see that things were starting to grow, and I even caught the signs of first flowers on my tomatoes that I had bought at the market. But I also noticed that so were all the little seeds that were in the soil that I had composted, and I was becoming inundated with little plants, and I wasn't sure if some of them were what I planted or were just weeds. But one thing I knew I could do around these bigger plants was take some of that straw and hay from the bunny coop and pad out some of the bases of my plants to suppress some of the weeds and also provide them with more nutrition. Because it turns out that bunny pea is like tea to plants, full of nutritious value. And one thing I can say is that at this stage of week 4, I can really start to feel that there's progress and life in this greenhouse. A story of growing vegetables and having food is starting to emerge. Let's see how things are going at the end of this week. What happened, Leo? Is it raining? It is. So I'm heading up on this rainy day to the greenhouse to look at progress, and this is the end of week 4. So let's see. Now it is also going to be a little bit of a revelation for me, and there's a good reason for that. I haven't been filming for a few days. I haven't actually been doing a lot. There's a good reason for that. I hurt my back, my lower back, and for any of those young'uns out there wanting to take up the dream of being homesteaders, do it soon. Don't leave it too late. That's my advice to you, because Troy and I are 50 plus. Well, I'm 50, but he's 50 plus. Let's not say how much 50 plus. And you get very excited and you do all these things and you realise that your body needs to rest. And we both had injuries. Mine was my lower back because I have some rheumatism due to a health issue, and Troy hurt his shoulder. So we had a busy week putting up our fencing, which I'm just walking through. If you're interested to know about that fencing, please check out the video about fencing and how we did that. However, before we go into the greenhouse on this rainy day, I would just like to say something. Thank you to those of you that watched our video last week. We went from about 30 views to 180 views. That's amazing for us. We are absolutely delighted. So if you're back again watching this video, please subscribe, because next week we want to pop up in your feed to tell you why I have a back injury and something exciting that happened last week. It was full of ups and downs. It was a real learning curve, and we really want to share that journey with you, and I'm going to start editing that video today. Editing videos is turning out to be quite a fun but a time-consuming thing. So thank you for sticking with us, and I hope you feel that our content is improving and my editing skills and maybe even filming skills have improved. Okay, let's go into the greenhouse. So you can see it's going to be pretty windy in there. Haven't opened up the windows, but it's all holding very good. I do think there's a little tear in the roof where the cat decided to jump onto the roof. We do have some thicker plastic to overcome those little things. So, you know, cats can be great for vermin control on a farm. They're also an absolute pain in the neck because they just go everywhere. Okay, we're going in. And hopefully it smells like bunny tea in here. I'm going to say that now because if you notice, I was putting all that stuff in from the rabbits. But let's have a look at the polytunnel. Okay. Got lots of grass coming up in the cracks. We've got a plan to do a bit of weeding this week, but we've got some rain coming in, a storm coming in. You can see my peas are coming up. I've got dahlias. No, actually that's parsley that's growing in between the peas. There's lots of weeds have come up since I've been up here. The lettuces are doing very well. The garlic and the onions are growing like crazy. Look at this. My cabbage. Red cabbage is looking fabulous. This they gave me at the garden centre. It was kind of dying. So they gave it to me. It was just like a giveaway, I think. So I put it in there to try and heal it. These, they look like they're struggling a little bit with the damp. They've collapsed a bit. They're just some blue flowers. These are beetroots. And I've got my 3rd and 4th leaves since I bought those. More cabbage. My cauliflower and my broccoli has popped up. Tomatoes. Can you see those tomatoes there? Oh, spinach is in there. And the peas. You can see my blueberry over here has just started to come alive, as are my raspberries here. And more of the same, really. Look at these lettuces. They're looking wonderful, aren't they? We are so excited. Look at these. Look at that growth. What a transformation. Last week, I didn't get to edit it and put it in, but we've got peppers have gone in. I actually bought these peppers. And look at that, guys. My first tomato flower and buds. I've brought a lemon tree in. These are my dahlias, flowers. We've got peas. This is my radish. It's quite a spicy radish. Excited about those. Separate them, really. I just kind of threw them in. I was just rushing. This, I'm so excited. Our rhubarb has sprouted. Transformation from nothing, no polytunnel, to at the end of 4 weeks we've got this. I'm just going to stand back, and I've never had a greenhouse or a polytunnel in my life. Growing our own food, and it is just the beginning. So yes, to do it on a relatively small amount of space. So we're really excited. If you would like to see more of what we do, you can check out my pumpkinmoon.shop page where I sell my art. And I've got an offer for anybody who subscribes to my newsletter
please subscribe to the newsletter, because I will write there our little journey in words and send it to you with discounts to the shop. And we're really excited because we've just launched our cards, greeting cards that come in a pack of 10, which have my artwork on. So if you could do that, that would be fantastic. Sorry about the rain, guys.